There's a difference between development and training. And training is what most people will think of when they think, I've got to go watch a course. I've got to go sit in a training session for a day. But the actual process is apprenticeship. And apprenticeship is a lost art. Okay, Pete, you're going to come watch me. Just watch. Now you're going to watch me and help me. And now you're going to do it. And that's apprenticeship.
That's Jeremie Kubicek. He's equipped thousands of leaders as co-founder of Giant. Some of the largest companies in the world incorporate Jeremie's insights and best-selling books to develop their people and improve performance. Today, he's sharing how to improve the people development process using the tools from his book, The Voice-Driven Leader, How to Hear, Value, and Maximize Every Voice on Your Team. So you'll learn 1, why people development often fails. 2, how leaders unintentionally silence their best people. And 3, warning signs that your team is in the pit of despair. And if you want a summary write-up of the actionable takeaways that Jeremie shares, I recommend you drop on by awesomeatyourjob.com and sign up for the free Gold Nugget email newsletter. I'm Pete Bakaitis. This is How to Be Awesome at Your Job. And now, here's Jeremie. Jeremie, welcome back.
Pete, always good to be with you.
Oh, it's great to have you again. I'm excited to talk about the voice-driven leader and people development stuff. And I got to know right from the get-go, chapter 1, why people development typically fails.
Yes.
Lay it on us, Jeremie. Why?
Because we all know it's boring. It doesn't really work. It's developed in the wrong way. But really the main reason is because it's driven from a one voice to everyone else. It's not hyper-personalized. And in today's world, like imagine if you could actually draft books, content, training, all based on the other person, not on you who did it. Imagine that. And that's what we've done. We built the voice-driven leader to do that.
That's cool. Well, so let's expand a little bit about why it fails. You say, and I don't know how much that was in jest, because, we both love developing people.
No, it's true. I think what I'd say is this. There's a difference between development and training. And training is what most people will think of when they think, I've got to go watch a course. I've got to go sit in a training session for a day. But the actual process is apprenticeship. And apprenticeship is a lost art in America. It used to be a thing in the Industrial Revolution. Hey, if you're a mason, we're going to brick a wall. There's still masons and there's still HVAC. And there's still all these people who do trades, right? Trades know what apprenticeship is, but most of us haven't experienced it. Like, okay, Pete, you're going to come watch me. Just watch. Now you're going to watch me and help me. And now you're going to do it. I'm going to help you. And now you're going to do it. And we're good, right? And that's apprenticeship. That's the full development. But in the computer age, it's not like, hey, Pete, watch how I do this text message. Watch me do email. Do you see how I did that?
That was great.
It's harder to do apprenticeship in the technological world. So development suffers because we think we're developing people by sending them to watch courses or do trainings. But it's not necessarily the pathway, like a journey. And that's what we're trying to reinforce.
Yes, I think that is well said in terms of you can learn some best practices, some how to use a piece of software, some tips and tricks, stories of experience. But there's a giant zone of learning that is like, no, we just got to get into it, experience some stuff and talk about it, reflect on it, and see the nuances of the itty-bitty details.
Yeah, and it's really, really like, all right, you're on my team. It's tied to where are we going? Do you have role clarity? Do you know where we're going? And do you know and understand my expectations of the job? So expectations are a massive part of creating awesome jobs, like development of people. You have to be developed through expectations. Okay, Pete, this is where I want you to be. Here's where you're at right now. We just onboarded you. In the next month, all I want you to do is be with people, spend time. You know what I mean? I'm laying out the expectations. What do most people get? Hey, man, there's your desk. Here's your manual. Watch a couple of these videos and see you later.
Yeah.
And then they get thrown in, and then people start faking it act like they know what they're doing. And then all of a sudden, once they figure out that they don't know what they're doing, then they try to hide it. And then eventually they end up in this thing that we called in the book, we call the pit of despair. And the pit of despair, like if you, let's say you have 1,000 employees, you probably have 20 people who come and clock in the morning and they go right, everyone goes to their workstations. They go down in the basement in the pit of despair and they get down there like, hey man, how long you been down here? Yeah. Who pushed you in? Oh, Tom? Yeah, Tom's a jerk. And all of a sudden, everyone's talking about Tom. And it's this pit where people literally, everyone's working around these employees. But it's what it is. It's just unclear plan, unclear roadmap, and unclear expectations. And then the leader's not taking the time, not giving the vision, not actually doing the apprenticeship process.
Understood. Okay. Well, then, is that what you would say is the core thesis behind the voice-driven leader, or how would you articulate the big idea?
Okay, so here's the big idea. If you know who you are, is number one, know who the other person is. And when I say who, we say actually by personality using the 5 voices. So if you know who you are using the 5 voices, know who they are and their voice, then know where do you want to take them? What's the journey you're there on? And then what needs to happen to get them to the next level. So you have the foundation stage, which is onboarding. You have the immersion stage, which is the development in their role. And then you have the empowerment stage. Now, that means, good job, you're doing it, I'm helping you. Then there's a multiplication stage down when they get really good at their job. So a great leader is going to know who they are, who the other person is, and where to take them. The crux of it is because of AI, we've built now 5 Voices AI. So if I know that I'm a connector, let's say I know that you're a creative. Well, a creative is going to go through that process completely different than a connector would. Mm-hmm. And completely different than a nurturer or a guardian or a pioneer. So if I know who you are, now I can speak your language to help you really understand and become competent in your job and your work faster. Mm-hmm. And so here's the core crux of the book. If I speak your language to develop you more than forcing you to only speak my language, then the chances of you developing are 10 to 1.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like when I lived in Russia, I learned Russian versus forcing them to speak English. I had a lot of influence. Ты говоришь по-русски, да? Ты понимаешь?
You sound influential.
So now all of a sudden, if I speak Russian to someone and they're Russian, they're like, oh, мой друже, да. Ты понимаешь, да? And now I'm connecting with them because I've chosen to speak their language and go toward them, not forcing them just to go to me.
Okay, well, so we're going to talk about these 5 voices. And so, Jeremie, help me out. In the universe, I mean, you've been around the game. You've been around the block. So you got your Myers-Briggs, you got your DISC, you got your Strengths Finder, you got your Enneagram, you got your Working Genius. So can you help position for us, how do the 5 voices sit in the universe of different ways we might categorize humans?
So let's go with a couple. Working Genius and Strength Finders are not necessarily personality. They are the strengths of a personality. So they're not really personality assessments. Okay, so let's separate those two out. Myers-Briggs, DISC, the Big 5, those are true more personality assessments. The problem is that they don't scale very well. So you can meet with someone and go, oh yeah, I get all excited. You're an ENTJ? And then it's like, well, what does that mean? I'm like, man, I don't know. But it was great. Yeah, you should do it. Or I'm a high D, high I, or I'm a 7 with a wing 8, or whatever it is. It doesn't produce. And so people then feel locked in. Like they feel like, oh, so you're just telling me who I am, right? So the 5 voices, like, no, you're all 5 voices, and a 13-year-old can get it. So what we did is we took the best of Carl Jung and the best of the Big 5, and we built a system that was simpler to understand so that inside Google, for instance, we worked with them for years, for 7, 8 years. Inside Google, they're like, oh, I'm a connector. I don't have to go, I'm an ENFP. I'm a high I with a D. And so the speed of scale and then the sustainability of the 5 voices stays a lot longer than any of the other voice languages because it's just simpler. And then we added Five Voices AI to it. And now it's like a joke. Oh my gosh, we're doing things with it that are so innovative. So that's and I'm biased, obviously, of being a co-creator of it with Steve Cockrum, but the Five Voices is just simpler and it stays longer.
When you say with AI, it's a joke, exactly do you mean?
I mean, it's dumbfounding because now what happens if you've already taken the assessment, Five Voices AI, you're already in my algorithm. You're already in my AI, in my world. So it already knows you. So if it knows that you're a creative connector and I go, hey, help me do a performance review for Pete, it already knows and it's going to do a different performance review for you than it would for a nurturer.
Oh, I hear what you're saying. Like, because in the universe of what large language models happen to be good at, reconfiguring words in different sorts of ways, when you've got your arms around five really distinct, different vibes with detailed explanations of what those are, you can find an extra little translator tool at the ready to make it super easy for you.
That's it. And like I got an email from someone on my team the other day and I didn't get it. And it said, remember, they're a Guardian Pioneer. And I put the email in and it dissected it as a Guardian Pioneer and it translated to go, here's what it is saying to a connector.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, great, right back to him in his language. And it built an email. It wasn't just create an email for me. It was create an email that's customized.
Yeah, that's handy. Yes. And I guess as you can feed that upfront context, you can give thousands of words of useful, clear context to the AI about what do I mean by Pioneer? What do I mean by connector?
Well, it already does it.
Yeah. Okay.
It already does it for you. Mm-hmm. You don't have to feed it anything.
Well, we don't now because you've built it out. Yeah. Okay. Understood.
So all you have to do is take the assessment. And if you take the assessment, it's free, byvoices.com. You can take the assessment, then you sign someone else up and they take it. But then the Five Voices AI now becomes the piece that it's like with my wife, the conversations are completely different because what I'm doing is it's like honoring the other person because I'm walking a mile in their shoes. I'm trying to understand their context versus, man, that guy just drives me crazy. Well, yeah, because he's a guardian and you're a connector. You're nemesis voices. So now it decomplexifies it. Is that a word? But it basically takes it to the point where it's so much more palatable to know what to do.
All right. Well, we've been throwing these words around a lot, so we're going to have to hear what the heck, what are they? What is a pioneer, a connector, etc.?
Okay. So there's 5 words and the 5 main categories of personality. We put them in the lower voice first. So the quietest voice is a nurturer. 43% of the population, 70% are female. So they're going to show up in stay-at-home moms, teachers, nurses, it can be anything, okay? But that's where they aggregate, and they're always wanting to make sure everyone's taken care of. So they want peace. They're the relational oil inside organizations. The creative is second, 9% of the population, and they are the most future-oriented, but they're extremely quiet. They're still introverts, but they love to add to their blueprint that's in their brain, but they have a hard time getting it out to someone, and they don't want to throw their ideas before swine if someone doesn't value or see it. So they're oftentimes are the most misunderstood because people don't know what they just said or what they're thinking. Then another 30% is the guardian. The guardian are logic, black and white, A, then B, then C, then D. And the 70% are male. They're accountants, they're soldiers, military, they're police, firefighters. They love structure and order and grids. And it's just that order, right? And then the next batch is the 11%, the connectors, which are like me. They're like bees. They pollinate. They take ideas and people, and they always have a guy. What do you need? I got a guy. Oh, yeah, you need to meet so-and-so. And they love to connect people to aspirations. And then the last 7% are the pioneers, and they're like generals, and they allocate people and resources to do big things. And so their whole thing is move out of my way, I got it. Or they're always thinking about winning and very strategic in that regard. So a lot of them are executives because they get hired to win. And so oftentimes you'll have an immature executive do a lot of damage. And so what we do is we dissect, we have all 5 of these, but there's 16 variations of the 5. So like you can be a pioneer connector, a pioneer guardian, a pioneer creative. So that second word kind of frames the personality, but there's 5 categories that make it simple enough for everyone to understand.
I see. And these terms are kind of like, is it fair to say, how you're wired, what you're drawn to, what you find motivating, interesting, exciting, care to do, gets you fired up. That's like what you're about.
That's right. It's your nature, but your nurture, meaning we can be all 5. That's the beauty of the 5 voices.
Mhm.
There's no labeling. So it's like, I'm all 5 of them. I can play guardian if I have to, but it is my 5th voice. It's the one I'm consciously incompetent at. It's the hardest one for me, but I can play it. And that's the beauty of it, is you can go in and out, and it gives grace to people versus going, oh, you're a 7. Oh yeah, you're a 7 with a wing 8. And I've got you locked in. I know. Yeah. And people don't want to be labeled because actually we're way more complex than that. And then if I know I'm a connector and I know I've got a guardian that's just started my team and he's onboarding, well, you know what? His expectations of onboarding are, I need to know exactly what to do. I need to check things off. I need to feel success along the way. So that's very, very different than if I brought a nurturer in. If I brought a nurturer in, Tracy, welcome to the team. So excited to have you. It's going to be different. And so what happens then, why most jobs aren't as fulfilling, is then people join teams and it's like, well, Tom is not very good at onboarding. Tom doesn't think about the other person. It's just like, my way to the highway. This is what we do. This is how it works. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. And that doesn't work in today's world.
Okay, understood. Well, so then once we have a little bit of a sense for, okay, this is where I fall, and I understand where other people fall, like what are some of the top implications? You've got something called the development square, for example.
Yeah. So you now have to know, what does development look like? What do we hope this person becomes? So you take their job description, you then add to it role clarity. What does winning look like? What do we need to develop in you? Intellectually, relationally, what specifics do you need to kill it? And then you're going to apprentice. I'm going to actually have you apprentice with someone. So it's the idea of slowing down to speed up, because a leader is 2 things. They have to perform while helping people perform. So we use the Sherpa mindset, the Sherpa model, because the Sherpa on Mount Everest are the best example of leaders. They are amazing leaders. They have to climb at high altitude in dangerous positions and be healthy while helping people climb. So if you're listening to this and you're a leader, give yourself 1 through 10. How's your performance right now? We call it Sherpa assessment. Like, I'm an 8. Okay, great. Well, how's your leadership? What do you mean? Well, how are you leading other people while you're performing? And oftentimes this happens a lot. Climbers are put in the Sherpa position, but they don't know how to lead other climbers. So you've got an 8-2. They're an 8 in performance and a 2 in leadership, but we're afraid to lose them. So we put them in a management position over other people. And all of a sudden, no one wants to work with John. John doesn't want to lead anyone. And then give it a year and his performance is a 6 and his leadership is still a 2. So he went from an 8-2 to a 6-2 and everyone else wants to lead the team. So ultimately, we want leaders who are like a 7-8 or an 8-8, an 8 in performance, an 8 in leadership all day long. Now you have proper Sherpa, and that's ultimately what we're trying to do.
Okay, so you're speaking their language. And then what are some of the other top do's and don'ts for that developing?
Yep. So we're onboarding. We're building an onboarding plan, and we know what that plan is. Now, once we've done that, now we're immersing them into their actual role. And we tell them ahead of time, we know this is where other people have failed. So we create a role clarity so they know exactly. And then we're keeping them from that bottom right-hand corner of that pit of despair. And we're being aware that they could get in the pit of despair and they oscillate over it. And we want them to get fully into the empowerment stage where they are consciously competent. They know what to do. They know how to do it. They know what success is like. And then there's another trap on the other side. So this one trap, pit of despair, is insecurity. The other trap is called the green room, and it's over secure, overconfident. The green room is meant for people on stage. It's meant for people who are about to go up on stage, and they have snacks in there, and it's comfortable, and it's nice. And employees, sometimes the boss, the leader, can put an employee in the green room because they're the teacher's pet. And like they're killing it. And hey, Pete, you don't need to read that. You don't need to do this doc. You're good. You're good. And then other people see that you're the teacher's pet, right? Or the employee puts themselves in and they're like, oh, I'm all that. Oh, yeah, I'm really good. And then they don't go to the next stage, which is multiplication. Or the guardian and nurturers, they put themselves there because they've already learned something and they don't want to learn anything new because now they're in conscious incompetence again. So ultimately what we're trying to do is we're trying to get people like a monopoly board all the way around to now multiplication. And multiplication is help me build this culture, help me build this team, or take my job because I'm going to move up and I'm moving up. And now, Pete, you got to do my job. And so now I'm intentionally transferring knowledge, wisdom, skills. So it's highly, now you have to know the 5 voices, but we teach it and you get in it. But once you get it, it's like everything slows down. You ever hear that in the sports when at the NFL level, like everything slowed down? Leadership slows down once you figure out the voice-driven leader. Because now it's like, oh my goodness, I'm not manipulating people, but I am literally proactively speaking their language and I'm seeing them grow. And it's completely different than a traditional leadership.
And so you're saying it slows down in the sense that you are suddenly seeing another layer of opportunity, connections, implications.
Leadership, growth, yeah, like communication is better. The relational trust goes up. Alignment. You actually can get alignment with people when you speak their language. So I was just with one of my guys. We launched a new company this week. It's called Workplace. I'm going to just the short example of it. We built a culture ticker, just like a stock ticker, where we can take Teams or Slack. We basically analyze all the signals that are going on, and it gives a real-time burnout score, a real-time psychological safety, and a real-time culture score by the minute with no surveys. It's called workplace.io. Well, in that, the CEO, his name's Bronson. Bronson is a pioneer creative. So I know what he's working on. It's launch week. I know where his brain is. I know how he's thinking. I know how he needs data to go and process. So this week wouldn't be, hey, I got an idea. Not helpful for Bronson. So I sent him simple email over the weekend for him to digest some ideas I have that we can for some of our larger enterprise account. And so then he calls me. He goes, hey, I need 3 or 4 more days. Great. Then when he's ready, he'll then go, okay, here's what I learned. Really helpful data. I added it with this. I think this is really helpful. That was really helpful work. Thank you. Well, I'm just playing a founder role. Like, he's running the company. But my point is, because I know who he is, I'm not disrupting him. I'm actually feeding what he needs and how he needs it because I know how he's wired.
Mm-hmm.
Now, imagine doing that with your kids, your wife, and your key partners and employees. It changes the dynamics. So the drama goes away. And then there's so much more fun. It is so much more fun to work. And you can be awesome at being a leader.
Beautiful. Well, could we maybe have an example of going through the foundation to immersion, to empowerment, to multiplication? I like the I do, you watch, I do, you help. Sort of, can we see real time what that might look like in terms of building a person up?
Yeah. So Robert, a CEO, Robert has a smaller team of about 20 people. He's bringing a new person on board. He's a pioneer guardian. His tendency is kind of harsh in like, hey, read it. If you can't get it, we'll find someone else. But he's working on it. So he's trying. So he now knows he has to slow down. So his first step is he knows himself now well enough that he can blow people up. So he then hired someone. They took the assessment, 5voices.com. He found out he's a creative. So he goes, okay, he's a creative, but he's actually a creative connector. And there's a little more detail, but creative. He's like, I don't know how to deal with a creative. What does creatives want? So he goes to AI and he goes, 5 Voices AI. How do I build an onboarding plan for my new employee who's a creative connector? Well, don't forget, you're a pioneer guardian. Your tendencies are going to be this. What he needs is this. So now it laid it out for him. Great. He then has his assistant, true story. So know this is going on. He gets his assistant. His assistant takes care of all the details. Creatives want to know why are we doing this? What's the big picture? Hey, this is what we need you to do. This is why we do these things. So she preempted a lot of that, gets him going, and then he laid out a very clear pathway. So he made it through the foundation stage. Now he's into immersion. This is what we expect your role to be. We have another person that's just in your same role. We want him to be your mentor, buddy, to walk through so you can ask any questions along the way. We're trying to accomplish X, Y, and Z by this point. I need a report done, all the details, the expectations. So then that person became the buddy. Well, that person was a connector. The other person, connectors are really good at translating for people. So that creative was going to the connector going, no, that's not what Robert means. You're hearing it like this, but he really means this. So it helped in that process to have that person translating. So all the way through, well, there was a couple of moments when this creative was getting to the pit of despair, and you could sense it in like they were starting to pull away. They were starting to get sarcastic and snarky and using their stress behavior. It was kind of starting to come out, a little Hulk activity. And so the pioneer didn't know what to do. He actually came to me. I was playing a guide Sherpa for him. We built a little game plan. But we use the common language and we keep everything above, not below, so that no one's hiding anything. So now we're at a process where this person made it through the pit of despair. Now he's just an empowerment, and it's not started yet, but we're about to start the multiplication process because this guy's really, really good and really can see the future. But it took a while for people to understand what he was trying to say. So we've been having to translate with the other executives in the team what he's trying to say. So, but now people are seeing the gold and they're starting to utilize him a little bit more. So he's not ready for multiplication yet, but he's set squarely in the empowerment stage.
Okay. Well, and when it comes to this pit of despair, are there any top principles that are swell for avoiding it and pulling out of it?
So when you see it, it's basically insecurity. People are starting to work around them. It's obvious they don't know what they're doing. So you have to use shared language, and you have to start with vision again and use the language. Pete, it seems like you're in the pit of despair. You may not claim that you are, but it feels that you are. So let's go back through the basics. Here's the vision, long term. Here's the short term. I need to do a better job as a leader to have more time with you. So we're going to schedule more formal time. And then informally, I want you to go spend time with so-and-so and so-and-so. And then I'm going to encourage you, but I'm going to give you specific encouragement. Like, I really see the work you're doing. You're doing great here, here, and here. Now, where do you need help from me? Where can I add value to you? And now you make it about you, not them. And so now all of a sudden I'm going, so I'm going to be here to be your Sherpa. So what do you need? So that usually would work. Now, if someone gets into the pit of despair, here's what I would tell you. In all the years of doing this, 12 years of doing this, we can't think of any stories. We couldn't think of any experience where if anyone truly is in the pit of despair, they usually don't make it. They usually are asked to leave, or they choose to leave. So that's how dangerous the pit of despair is. So with the book, and the whole idea is how to avoid the pit of despair at all costs. Don't get in it, because you're so demeaned and your insecurity is so high and the trust level from all the other employees is so low that people tend to not make it.
Well, so maybe the better question is like, so what's the red alert, warning, approaching pit of despair, sudden redirections necessary?
Each voice has stress behaviors. So we talk openly about it, and we have a whole chapter on the stress behaviors. So for each voice, a nurturer is going to start withdrawing big time, and they're going to start clamming up, and they're going to start, you don't need to hear, no one would need to hear from me. A lot of insecurity. The creative is going to start hulking out if people don't get it. And there'll be these moments where they just blew up and no one understood, or got really sarcastic and snarky. The guardian is going to start interrogating people. Well, why didn't you tell me? I didn't know that. When did this report come out? How did we even? And they start this inquisition because they're feeling like they need to prove themselves. The connector will start cyber warfaring and subtly slandering the boss. Not to their face, But they're like, "Hey, Tom, how you doing, man?" And then behind the scenes, Tom's a jerk. God, this is the worst leader I've ever seen. I've never seen anyone this. And then the pioneer, they'll like bulldoze people. The pioneer are rarely in the pit of despair. But if they get in, the stress behavior is like, move out of the way. I got it. And they just do it all. And they just bulldoze everybody. So those are some examples of, you'll know it by their stress behavior.
Okay. And you've got a tantalizing tidbit about how most leaders unintentionally silence their best people. How does that happen? How do we not do that?
Because most leaders are so fixated on making the donuts, doing the work of the performance on one side, that they might not be thinking like a Sherpa of getting everyone else. Their people are a nuisance more than that's their job to get everyone to the next level. So they'll then revert back to default setting is do it my way or the highway. This is how I am. Why can't you get it? Seriously, why don't you figure this out? Versus taking time. It's like training a dog, right? Most people who've ever had a dog, it's so hard the first 3, 4, 5 months. And then if you do it well, you're going to be so glad you did. It's awesome in year 2, 3, 4. But if you never took the time to train your dog, that dog is the dog from hell. And no one enjoys the dog, even people who come over, right? So it's the same with employees, not saying they're dogs, but it's simply the idea that we have to take the time to train them effectively. And the Voice Driven Leader book is the best development book available.
Okay. Well, tell me anything else you want to make sure to mention before we hear about some of your favorite things.
No, that's good.
Big thanks to Jeremie for sharing his wisdom with us. And big thanks to our sponsors. Check them out. One sponsored checkout is Monarch. I don't enjoy thinking about or fiddling with money, so I love resources that make this quicker and easier. Set yourself up for financial success this year. Monarch is a gorgeous personal finance tool that makes your money life easier. It brings your whole money picture from budgets to accounts and transactions and investments into one super handy dashboard on your phone or laptop. I was such a fan of the old Mint.com and was super bummed when it disappeared. But the good news is that Monarch was founded by a team that includes the original product manager of Mint, and I dare say it's even better. I like the graphical summaries that help me drill down into things quickly and easily, and helps me get to the bottom of anything that just seems off or weird, or helps me zero in on great opportunities for savings faster. In fact, Monarch helped the average user save over $200 per month after joining. So set yourself up for financial success in 2026 with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes proactive money management simple all year long. Use code AWESOME at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code AWESOME. Okay. Can we hear about a favorite quote, something you find inspiring?
Yeah. So I am a massive Will Rogers fan. And so it's actually not a quote, it's his quotes. There's such veiled wisdom inside the humor that it's just really fun. So I'm a major Will Rogers fan.
Okay. And a favorite book?
Heroic Leadership, Chris Lowney. He's a friend, good guy. It's basically how the Jesuits changed the world for 450 years, how they changed the world in Asia and around the world. It is the most fascinating without technology. And how did they stay aligned when they were all sent out and all around? And he does a brilliant job. So if you're a leadership nerd, it is a brilliant job to show how values actually work.
Okay. And a favorite tool?
My favorite tool that I'm using right now, it's my tool. It's called the Peace Index. And it's basically, I use it almost every day, but it's how to quantify peace and understand chaos and where you're not at peace. And it dissects purpose, people, personal health, provision, and place. And it reveals chaos, and it reveals whether you're up or down. And it's a fascinating process. That's another book of mine, Peace Index.
All right. And a favorite habit?
Every afternoon, I took the Jesuit examine model with the Peace Index. And I basically do this habit at 5:30 every day. I do, what was I grateful for today? What was awesome about today? I just highlight it in my brain. Where was I not at peace today? And where was I off? And I dissect it so that I keep really small accounts. And then am I ready for tomorrow? And that's it. That's all I do. And it's a summary at the end of the day. But what it's done for me over the last 5, 6 years now is I don't talk to my wife about negative things anymore. I don't talk, they just kind of dissipate because I keep such small accounts that I'm dealing with like whether I'm not at peace, and I'm working on it every afternoon. And it doesn't build up anymore like it used to.
Yeah. Cool. Is there a key nugget you share that folks really seem to connect with and quote back to you often?
One I say is call people up, not out. And if you want to get the best out of your people, learn how to call up, not out. And it makes a big difference.
All right. And if folks want to learn more or get in touch, where would you point them?
JeremieKubicek.com. You might have to put that in the show notes, Pete. It's just Jeremy with an IE.
Oh, sure.
And if you want to take the 5 voices, just go to the5voices.com. Take the assessment. It's free. It's really fascinating. Obviously, you can go deeper if you want to add the 5 voices AI. You have to pay a little bit, but I think it's $10 a month, not $20, and you get AI as well.
Okay.
So if you actually want a cheaper AI, do 5 voices AI.
All right. Jeremie, thank you.
Good to be with you, Pete. You're amazing. Thanks, man.
I really appreciated Jeremie's take on apprenticeship because I think sometimes we're in a little bit of an all or nothing mode. Like, oh, that person can't handle this. Therefore, this item just stays on your plate forever. It's never delegated and entrusted to someone who can learn and grow into it. And so when he segments it into those pieces, first, you're just going to watch me. Then you're going to watch me and help me. Then you're going to do it while I'm helping you, and then you're going to do it on your own. Like, we break it into multiple smaller steps as opposed to trying to leap up the staircase all at once. I think that makes a boatload of sense. Good stuff from Jeremie. If you want to check out the show notes or the transcript or the links to items that we've referenced, please drop on by awesomeatyourjob.com/EP1128. Hope to catch you next time, and peace.